It's a very good question. Since I'm sort of the staff birder, I take it very seriously. I'm the person on staff that's most interested in birding and most committed to it. And I'm often reminded by the other 95% of the staff there that it's a garden. it's a botanical garden first and a place for birds second. But frankly, I think they go hand in hand. There are big discussions about whether certain plants are good for wildlife or not. We've talked also about expanding some of the things that provide good food sources for birds and developing collections or developing features such as the seep, that water feature. Also the fountain that was put up in front of the Smith building, which very quickly became a magnet for birds. Those were both done very specifically to enhance those areas for birding and bird watchers. The fountain in front of the Smith building in particular, that was dedicated by Mark Kirpin for a woman who had been a very good friend of mine there, Diane, who died 2 years ago from cancer. That was actually founded in her memory. And because she loved birding there and loved watching the birds and just sitting peacefully enjoying things, that's why her husband dedicated that fountain and donated it. So that's a very good question. I'd like to see even more of a bird-centric focus there, and I try and push for that when I can. But once again, a good example is this past weekend. We had a bird walk, and we had about 40 people show up, and we had two of, I don't think anybody would argue, two of the best birders in the state leading that. We had Jim Burns and also Carl Tomoff. And right before the bird walk, one of the groundskeepers came up and said, "You might want to tell those guys we're going to be doing some chainsaw work in the canyon." There's not much I can do. It's a garden first, and they have to take care of it. There's only 7 days in a week and 8 hours in a day they can be there, and the groundskeepers do have to do their work. So, you know, I appreciate your indulgence if you're there, and if you're there on a day that's a little bit noisy. It's just part of the process.